So hello all of you, welcome back. Okay, I hope you enjoyed coding with us till now. And always coding involves practice, as we have been stressing throughout this lecture series. Okay, programming involves you to code very frequently as much as possible. Okay, we tried coding with the terminal. I hope after empathizing by me many times during lectures, you probably were parallelly coding with me. Okay, I hope. But it is most important, that you code a little more than what we have tried coding in this video series till now. Okay, you should explore more options. Whatever the examples I have taken in this video series, you must explore more. You must take your own example and practice more, little bit more than what we have did till now. Okay, that's what I ask. So for the today's session, I'm not going to teach you anything. Just I'm giving you the tips and tricks. And those who are demotivated about programming, that they are not capable to understand the lecture, just motivating them. And we will discuss some general FAQ that comes in students' mind. Okay, that's gone. That's all we are going to do in these lectures. So doing practice, that is the only way in which you will get comfortable with programming. Okay, so that a student who is trying to program or learn programming for the first time faces. Okay, I'm just explaining this mainly this point to student who is doing first time that programming, any programming. He or she had not done any type of programming before, and he or she is just starting with Python. So the message to those people, although Python is very program friendly. Okay, yeah, Python is the most program friendly language I ever know. I didn't mean to exaggerate it. Indeed, is the most programmer friendly language. Okay, but although you need to practice it. Okay, uh, I wish that when I started with my college, Python was to be my first language to learn, but unfortunately, it was not. I learned first C language because Python is such an environment friendly and user friendly that you don't need to stress on so much on syntax like any other languages. Okay, if you going to study anything or you have been studied something before starting this course, so you may have noticed that Python has some little complicated syntax than any other language. Okay, that's make it easiest. That's all. So here are some questions we are going to discuss. Feel free to ask your question in the comment section in case you have your questions. You have question that not covered in this video. Okay, feel free to ask in comment section. It is open for you all. The first question is, um I cannot remember the syntax. I find it difficult to remember several keywords that Python requires. Okay, I'm repeating the first question. I cannot remember the syntax. I find it difficult to remember several keywords that Python requires. Okay, that is the question. So to address this question, yes. Okay, yes, I'm with you, people. Of course, it is going to be difficult. Yeah, to remember all the syntax of Python. In fact, Python is a lot more than what one can understand, maybe even in a whole lifetime. Okay, yeah, Python is more than that. If you are confusing with my words, I mean, so in any programming languages, but it is too much any languages that you cannot learn any sort of languages in your whole lifetime. Okay, okay. I will give you an example. Try to see the analogy with any other language. Okay, look at your own mother tongue. Now, look at your own mother tongue. Maybe your mother tongue is Marathi, Hindi, whatever. Whoever is watching this video, there are many languages in India. Yeah, unity in diversity. Look at your own mother tongue. Do you know all the words in your mother tongue? Okay, or do you think that your vocabulary is full in the sense that there is no word left out? Okay. Suppose my mother tongue is Marathi, so do I know all the words in Marathi? Okay, do I can say that there is no word left that I don't know in Marathi language? Is there so? No, of course. Okay. One cannot complete whole vocabulary or whole language, learn whole some language that we can say I'm perfect in this in his or her lifetime. Okay, obviously not. But then you are aware of most of the words in your mother tongue. Okay, which is enough for you to converse in your day-to-day life. Okay, like that. I don't know whole Marathi languages starting from scratch. Okay, I don't know whole words in Marathi, but I know some words, or I know that some of set of words that I can converse in day-to-day life. Obvious. Okay, I do not have mastery in Marathi, but as with Python, it is enough if you learn a few things. I mean, which will help you to open up the world of possibilities eventually. Okay, it will open up the world of possibilities if you learn some syntax of Python. As of now, when we start English our second language. Of course, many of students have second as a second language as English. So when we start learning English, today also we don't know whole vocabulary or English or whole grammar concept. We know that much, which is enough for talking in day to day life. Like that Python in Python, we need to learn that much syntax that is capable in day to day programming. We do not need to stress out unnecessary on hardly rarely use syntax. Okay, yeah, don't stress yourself on that. But then as you are learning these few things, you will be stumbled upon the exact syntax. With the time you will uh, you will this all will get an easier for you. Okay, I mean, in the previous session we have discussed the strings. There were a few functions that we use. Okay, there are few keywords that we used to sort the manipulate strings. Okay, we manipulate strings in the last session. Okay, so there are some few functions that we have discussed. There are many more functions, but I have taught you the few because that much are enough for day-to-day programming. Okay, that much are enough. Okay. And of course you always have an internet to look up. You can even have a small cheat code. Okay. Internet to look up means see, even if today if we don't know some English words, we google it. Okay, we search for, if we search in dictionary or we google it like that. If you do not have any idea about particular syntax, just google it. Yeah, there is nothing to feel ashamed of it. Okay, there is nothing to feel ashamed of it. And you can even have a small cheat code like making a small page or the sheet where you will write all the syntax that is required for day-to-day programming. That will can be helpful for you. Okay, uh, but then in an actual, you need not to worry. This is very frequently occurring problem. Okay, that is you don't know the syntax or what. But with the time span, you will start remembering it. Okay, so that was the first question I addressed. So the second question that comes in students' mind is, I get errors. Okay, second question I'm talking about. I get errors when I'm programming and find them very irritating. I'm repeating the second question. I get errors when I'm programming and I find them very irritating. Okay, so everybody does get errors. Okay, if you watch my video with full concentration, even I get an error during even recording during the recording of the lectures. Okay, I get an errors. Everybody does get an error. Even people who are very proficient with programming tend to miss out few things when they are coding. Okay, syntax error are most common, as you saw in a simple print statement or a simple print instruction. If you miss out an closing bracket, it throws up an error many a times. Okay, so this is a very common. You should get used to it. Okay, if you want to be a programmer, that error is your part of life. Nobody is perfect programmer. Okay, let me address you. Nobody is a perfect programmer, and you will need make errors here and there. Okay, you will indeed make errors, and that needs to be done if you are practicing. Okay? Like that, failures are needed to be a successful. Errors are needed to be a good programmer. That's all. And in Python, in fact, mostly most of the IDE helps you by telling you what exactly is the error there. Okay, not only always though, but most of the times you will get to know where you are making an error, and you can rectify it immediately. Okay, so to answer your question, this is a completely normal. You should get an error and you should use to it. I want to make a one statement here. A programmer's life involves fixing the errors more than writing the code. So this is how a programmer's life is. Okay, a programmer's life involves fixing the errors more than writing the code. So yeah, this is how the programmer's life is. You do not spend your whole lifespan writing the code, but you spend your whole lifespan in finding out the errors and rectifying it. Okay, and congratulations, you are entering into the world of programming, so you should get used to it and not getting upset with errors. Okay, next time when you got errors, just boost yourself and say that, yeah, I am a real programmer. So the third question that arises, why are we learning Python? Why not any other language, XYZ language? Okay, okay. So maybe I address in the second lecture of this series. Okay, maybe. So that is the good question, of course. We are free to teach or learn any language, but that the reason, as we stated, the reason why we do Python is that Python is very easy to learn, easy on the mind for a person who is trying to program for the first time. Okay, very powerful, much sought after. The entire world today is talking in the language of Python. Okay, and most of the jobs are open for the Python programmers, in my humble observation. Okay, most of the jobs I can see out on LinkedIn, there are many jobs are open. Okay? And most importantly, I would say, if I were to restart my journey as a programmer, okay, and assuming I didn't know any sort of alphabet of programming, I would definitely start with Python for a simple reason that most of the open source software today uses it. Yeah. uh, Assume you want to do something creative and you need to look up if someone has done that already or not. Mostly that programs will be in Python on GitHub or any other open source platform. It will be not in any other language. This is my observation. So which means that if you learn Python, you have millions and millions of open source projects available to you. So you can just copy them and show it to your professors. No, no, that's not what I mean. It means that you can search about creative things and you can understand that things. Okay, if you know the Python, millions and millions of library functions readily available for you to pick up and then simply use. Okay. That is probably the reason why we thought Python would be a good programming language to start. But then one is free to learn any other programming languages. Okay, you can learn any other programming language. There is no force on you. And the point is, once you learn one programming languages, trying to learn second programming language is not very difficult. Okay. It is just like a learning a second languages when you are infant. Okay. First language as an infant, you you and me probably found it very difficult. Okay. It took a long time as an infant to learn your first languages. But immediate second languages was not really very difficult. Once you learn Python for an instance, you choose to opt for learning your first programming language is Python. If you do not know C or C++, you learn Python really well, start coding, understand what is logical thinking, how to do the things, what is the programming logic, and eventually you will see that learning C and C++ is only matter of knowing the equivalent syntax in that language. Okay, you need to analog to the syntaxes in the both languages. Okay. So it will make easier for you like that. I used to have when I'm infant I learn first language as Marathi, then I'm learn Hindi, maybe Hindi or English. So like that I used to analog two things, like in Marathi what means kai, so I need to analog this two syntax of both the statements. Okay, like that we have a e I o u o's, like that in Marathi we study Barakhadi that starts with o a e I, u. Okay, so we need to analog the syntax of various languages, so it will be easier for understanding us. Okay. So that's all was why we choose to learn Python first. That is due to availability of multiple open sources and ease of learning of Python. That's all. The fourth question that will arise: how do I efficiently learn coding? How do get I get better at coding? Yeah. So once you start coding, then question arises: okay, I have opted for Python now. Then how should I get an efficient in programming in coding, and how do I get better with the time? Okay. So to answer this, always how do I get better with a sport? Let us say table tennis or chess or let us say badminton. The answer has always been practice makes one perfect. Okay. So you may want to practice as much as possible. Okay. You may want to practice as much as possible. But then while practicing, there are few tips that we can give you. Okay, there are few tips that we can give you. Number one is it is important for one to type a piece of code for a particular question repeatedly. Okay, yeah, repeatedly you need to type. Just first watch the video, see what is there in coding. Then after that, just close that window and type by yourself. Okay, you need to type that question multiple times. You have solved that question multiple times, and you are closing and shutdowning your PC. That doesn't work. Okay, you have solved. Congratulations. Then just delete that whole code, and solve it many times more. The same question. Okay, yeah, that's the first tip I want to give you. That is one skill that I think will come very handy for a beginners, wherein just in case you are given a question, let us say sort a few numbers. You will be seeing these programs usually in this series, the sorting of numbers. Okay. Although we did not cover it till now. Till now we are dealing with. I think today it is completed basic of Python. Okay. You will be seeing sorting of numbers in upcoming. So writing a piece of code can be actually be daunting for a beginner. Okay, of sorting. Mainly I'm talking about sorting. But then once you finish writing the code, you should not move to the next program, in my humble opinion. Okay, you should open the browser, open the compiler, and open the editor, and then type the code afresh. You should repeatedly do a code for the same question. Okay, yeah, you should repeatedly code for the same question multiple times. I mean, of course, by not looking up the code that you have typed already, but assuming that you have forgotten the code, you should try redoing it. Okay, you should try redoing it. This is a very nice way in learning. Okay, how to get a code, how to get good at coding for a beginner. Okay, yeah, that's what going to help you. Okay, obvious. Okay, so the next question, I will come upon next question. Before that, I want to give you some reason behind why I'm saying that you should try a question many times. Okay, because the reason behind it is remembering the syntax. Okay, when you are typing a piece of code, there are two things that makes your life difficult. Okay, the first thing is syntax, remembering them, and the second thing is logic itself. Yeah, logic is most important thing, I guess. First one you will get used to with the time. You will understand what is what. Okay, you will understand Python keywords. You will be proficient with programming. Okay, but then logic it is very but when we come to logic it is very question dependent, I can say. But that the first one, the syntax is actually a memory base. Okay, you need to mug up the syntax. I can say it without any point. But logic takes more time for one to learn. Okay, when you do the same piece of question multiple times, number one, you will not worry about the syntax. Okay, number two, you will worry only about the logic when you do same question multiple times. That is the reason why you want to solve the same problem. Why I want you to solve the same problem multiple times. So how do we go about it? Okay, take a question. Okay, take a question, try writing a piece of code, and then open the editor once again and do it once more and do it 3 or 4 times, and try to take a program that is slightly longish. Okay, I mean, you do not want to take a two line code and do multiple times. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, this is a good way in which you can get good at programming with time. Okay, I hope you have understand all the things that you need to do while running the Python. So this is a comparison video for the basics that we have covered till now. In this upcoming lecture, we will start with real programming. So best of luck to you. Happy learning to all of you. Thank you.